Square Enix just dropped a new trailer out of nowhere. Even though it's a teaser trailer, there's still a lot to unpack here. We have a new look at locations, characters, and more, so let's pick apart this trailer and take a look at some of the new info they announced. If you enjoy Final Fantasy updates, theories, and other content, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out. Square Enix is still adamant about the February 29th release date. I know some people were concerned about a delay, but we're midway through January at this point and the release date has yet to be delayed. To be honest, I think Rebirth has already gone gold and they're saving that announcement for January 31st, which is the anniversary of the original game. This is likely when we'll get a demo as well. First up, we have a look at Starboard Shinra, an urban residential zone within the fortified metropolis overlooking the ocean. In addition to housing for Shinra personnel, high-end boutiques and restaurants line the streets. Currently, preparations are underway here for Rufus Shinra's presidential inauguration parade. Shinra 8 is a cruise ship that ferries travelers between the planet's eastern and western continents. After departing the port of Junon, it heads to the resort town of Costa del Sol. As part of the onboard entertainment, the ship plays host to a Queen's Blood tournament. Both of these screenshots look great. It became apparent during previous announcements that the cargo ship was being replaced by a cruise ship, and I'm all for it. It sounds like we'll have plenty to do while on board the ship, but it does make me wonder if there will be missable items or trophies during this journey. Perhaps there will be certain NPCs or quests you can only interact with during this trip. The description mentions the ship hosts a Queen's Blood tournament, so maybe your only chance to participate in it is while on board, and once you continue with the story you'll lose your chance to win optional items, cards, or even trophies. There's no telling what will happen with everyone on board once the sequence with Genova happens on the ship, but notice how the description says it ferries travelers between the planet's eastern and western continents. It's possible we'll get to use this ship more than once to fast travel between the continents until we have access to the tiny Bronco, but we'll see. We have some more info on Katesith, so let's take a look. When Kate's not duking it out, his high-tech helper aids him in hacking computer systems and telling fortunes. So two things come to mind when I read this description. Perhaps early on in the story, before we meet Katesith, we'll come across sealed off areas such as mechanical doors that cannot be opened. We'll get some sort of message saying it's locked or something. So it's up to the player to take note of these inaccessible areas and return once we have Katesith to hack our way into an otherwise inaccessible area. This is a classic element in JRPGs, and I think it'd be a pretty cool way to implement his hacking abilities. As for his fortunes, we know that he gives out fortunes at the Gold Saucer. But what if they found another way to implement them? What if they gave you vague hints about hidden treasures in the world? It's unlikely, but it'd be pretty cool to add more depth to his fortune telling. This is all speculation, of course, and it's likely this description is meant to be taken at face value and nothing more. Elena looks great, and it looks like Square Enix heard the fans loud and clear when people said she looked too similar to Tifa. I feel like this new design is more fitting of what a Turk should look like. She looked a little too innocent with that Tifa face going on. Though she may be a rookie, she's as skilled with her fists and gun as anyone else in the Turks. She and her partner Rude are tasked with pursuing the black-robed figures, which she is more than happy to do if it means being assigned a mission with Sung. It sounds like they're keeping the dynamic between Sung and Elena, which is great. Hopefully we still get to see Rude confess to Rina the feelings he has for Tifa outside of Gungaga. Captain Titov is the captain of Shinra 8. He's responsible for overseeing safe passage for all who travel between Junon and Costa del Sol. He's earned a sterling reputation among his crew thanks to his unerring devotion to his duties. This is most evident during the various festivities held on board his vessel, which he personally and passionately MCs. I like his design and I can't wait to interact with him in the game. Behind him it looks like there's some type of bar, but whether or not we'll get to interact with it is yet to be seen. Next up, we have a closer look at combat. For Yuffie, her combat for the most part sounds unchanged from the Intermission DLC, which is good news because personally I loved it. But we do have a new look at one of her new abilities. Her doppelganger ability allows her to attack in tandem with her clone, enabling her to exploit weaknesses even more effectively. At first glance, I totally thought they fucked up and uploaded an old development picture until I read ahead. But this looks sick, and I'm sure it'll be a fun ability to use. But I have to say, this clone cracks me up. Katesith darts about the battlefield with the agility of an acrobat, assailing enemies from every side. When he wants to switch things up, he brings out his Moogle pal, changing his attacks. These Katesith exclusive moves can hurt enemies or buff allies, but most rely on luck in some way. Let's Ride, however, allows him to hop on his Moogle, enhancing his regular attacks and his unique abilities. I'm glad they kept his luck mechanic in the game. It adds an interesting element to combat, and the fact that the party can receive buffs could be the difference between a game over or victory. While riding his Moogle, Katesith can give enemies the boot by using his unique ability Dropkick. Once his Moogle's attacks have filled the Moogle meter, he can also buff his companions with abilities like Defense. They mentioned earlier how most of his abilities rely on luck, so it'll be interesting to see which abilities and how they're affected. Perhaps the duration of buffs is affected depending on your luck? I mean, I'm not really sure, but this sounds great and I can't wait to play as Katesith. And can you imagine the crazy shit they'll do with Sid and Vincent in Part 3? We might even get to do 3-person synergy attacks. It's gonna be insane. Once again, we get a brief description about what exactly synergy abilities are and how we can unlock more abilities. More abilities will unlock as you increase the party level, a numerical expression of how closely knit your team is, and deepen the affinity between party members. I've mentioned this in another video, but it sounds similar to the Confidant system in Persona. Hamaguchi has been stressing how important it is to build these relationships with your party members, and I have a feeling synergy abilities aren't the only reason for this. Mughal Pinwheel looks pretty cool, and it's when Yuffie and Keitith attack in tandem with a secret ninja technique. Not much of a description there, but I'm sure it'll be pretty badass. You can see some music notes in the picture, so I'm not sure if we'll hear a little tune during the attack or if Keitith is singing some goofy song through his microphone, but we'll see. That's pretty much it for the announcement, so now let's take a look at the trailer. The trailer begins with one of the most iconic moments in the game. This part is going to hit us like a freight train of emotions. We get a quick shot of a new NPC, and I'm not sure who this is, but if I had to take a guess, I think it might be Xander from the novel Traces of Two Pasts. He was basically the village leader, and Tifa's father was also a member of the council. After discovering Xander had been murdered, Tifa's father went off to try to protect the remaining villagers, but unfortunately we know how that ended. This is sort of a shot in the dark, but I can't really think of anyone else it could be. Let me know who you think it could be, or if you think it's just some random guy with a gun. It looks like we'll get to witness exactly what happened once the tornado struck Midgar based on this clip, and it looks really intense. But I wonder how often we'll get cutscenes showing what's happening with Zack in his world. Will we get enough cutscenes to get the full picture of what's happening? I mean, I don't know, but I can't wait to learn what's going on. Whether it's 1 world, 2 worlds, 3 worlds, whatever the hell, it's gonna be awesome. Further into the video, we get a glimpse of the parade in Junon, and if you pause it just right, you can see what looks to be Roche. I'm not positive it's him, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't resemble him. I have a feeling he's either gonna act like a hotshot and try to steal the show, or he's gonna look very bored, almost with an attitude like, ugh, I can't believe I'm stuck doing this. I'm not gonna lie, I hated Roche on my first playthrough, but after replaying remakes several times, I fucking love this guy. I can't wait to run into him again, whether it's in Junon, Chocobo racing at the Gold Saucer, or even G-Bike. It's gonna be awesome. In a few other clips, we see the Whispers. The ones behind Sephiroth makes it hard to tell what moment this is during the story because nothing's really going on behind him, but the ones we see with Cloud fighting Shinra troops makes me believe they're at the reactor in Gongaga. You can see some overgrowth on the metal, and we know from the original the reactor is abandoned. Now, why the Whispers would be there? Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It gave me chills when I heard Cloud scream Tifa's name. That is some top tier voice acting right there. This looks to be the same monster, or weapon I guess I should say, we saw in the release date announcement trailer. And notice the color of the liquid Tifa is in. It's still a little unclear whether or not she's in the livestream during this clip, or if it's some sort of projection that takes place in Bugenhagen's lab. But the color of the liquid she's in is the same color of the liquid we see behind her in the new trailer. So either these two parts happen just moments apart, or there's some foreshadowing going on. One of the last clips we see is of Sephiroth, and the background looks a little similar to the Edge of Creation. I've really been wondering who the final boss will be in Rebirth. If we're going off the original, then it's likely Genova, but perhaps it's Bizarro Sephiroth, and for Part 3's final boss, it's Safer Sephiroth? It's really hard to say since we really don't know what direction the story's going. It'd be a little weird for it to be anyone other than Sephiroth or Genova though, and I think facing Sephiroth in the same way we did in Remake would be a little redundant, so I'm gonna guess either Bizarro Sephiroth or Genova is the final boss. And finally, we have the new key artwork for Keitith and Yuffie. Both of these look awesome, but I'm sure you noticed the statue missing from Yuffie's artwork. This is likely a similar situation to Aerith's art lacking the Highwind at first. Since we won't be visiting Wutai until Part 3, I suspect they'll release another key art of Yuffie atop the statue once marketing for Part 3 begins. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and please consider subscribing. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.